Hello, welcome to
Oh,
episode 81 Dissonant Waves.
Holy shit!
81. I'm Dominic. Ritalin and
oh my.
Trixelin are here as well.
That's the first time you came up with that one.
Mm.
Ritalin for kids, more like a Trix breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't think of any insults.
I'm over here drinking some wine. I'm the one drinking wine tonight.
Oh,
I'm drinking Bacardi and ginger ale. So
I'll just have bourbon in a Coke glass.
I also have a Coke glass for my wine, actually.
I'm drinking out of a plastic Solo cup.
Anyway, we got a few different things to talk about. A couple albums, a few EPs. Going down the
Yeah.
list. Got Tiny Little Houses, Misericorde, Misericorde. We got Snakadaktal EP.
Do you just like think before you talk? How can I put the most American accent into the way that I talk?
Sometimes.
Snakadaktal.
Sometimes I do.
Misericorde.
we got
Yeehaw! I'm a cowgirl.
We got
This
that.
is why every other country hates you guys.
We got that Courtney
Yeah.
Barnett. That Courtney Barnett. Things
Courtney
take time.
Barnett.
They take time. Things take time. And then I picked a bunch of different EPs. One from Beach Bunny, the Blame Game EP, and her single Oxygen, along with Co-Stanza, doing two of his EPs, I guess, and a bunch of singles, including Test the Water, I Don't Mind, Ease My Mind, and the new one, 20 Minutes. But as we also found out, there's another EP that was uploaded in 2019 and then taken down the 2 years between them. Who knows why? There's a lot of mystery to uncover at some point in this podcast.
Yep.
I can't be bothered looking.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Yeah.
Pretty alright. I'm excited. I gotta go to bed like immediately after we record this, so I can wake up in time.
Look, I think this has been one of the better weeks we've had in a while for listening, which might mean also we might finally have stuff to talk about.
We talked quite a bit.
I also want to like start this episode when we start covering with the one that I feel like we had the least to talk about.
Of course.
Because there's so much, but that Co-Stanza one is just boring compared to everything that we've done this week.
The story of Costanza is more interesting than the music, and like the mystery I unfolded and covered accidentally.
I can believe that.
So, my history with Costanza, he's another local actor. He was from the Naperville, Chicago area, moved to Colorado at some point. I remember him in high school. I just thought he was just like a white rapper, and I was kind of like, not really my thing. And then I found out that he was doing a lot of different stuff, including these EPs and singles and stuff, so I figured, why not give it a shot? His, the one single, I Don't Mind, is clearly his best song, clearly the one that's really popular. It's got over 1 million streams on Spotify.
Yes.
So he's got something going on.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know, like, before we found out about this mysterious EP that dropped in 2019, but the narrative I was thinking about was, okay, he puts out his first EP, and then in like 2020, he's like testing the waters, trying to get an album together, right? He has all these like higher produced singles, I Don't Mind, Test the Water, all that stuff. And then the COVID happens. So he's releasing the singles, but he's also not continuing the album. So he puts out an acoustic EP, and that is what that is. And now he's maybe back on track.
I want to talk quickly about that acoustic EP, just about the art specifically. It gave me so much hope that it was going to be a Midwestern emo EP.
That would have been really cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks so much like it was gonna. It reminded me of have you ever seen Jimmy Eat World's actual debut album art?
No.
No, I'm looking it up right now.
It's, I mean, it's not the only art that's like that, but it's back in '94,
Right.
which is just a simple like kind of picture of them in the backyard.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
just
that's
posted
fun.
it there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of that, which is why I had the hope that this was going to be Midwestern emo, and then we just got
Boring acoustic
alternative
tracks.
pop folk. Yeah, yeah. I forgot what the EP title was.
Patch of
maybe?
Grass.
Okay, I did remember it. This was the most boring out of everything we listened to this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a fine voice. He can play his guitar fine,
Yeah.
but the songwriting is just
Not very
It
good.
works better with a full band.
it's the same track pretty much the
Yeah.
whole way through. I don't know if
Yeah.
I even bothered finishing this one. I was just that uninterested.
Like there's like the one song
Like I got to
about
the last track, but like I didn't finish the last track.
yeah, it's a COVID album, COVID EP, and it's very shallow about it. Just like
Yeah,
oh
but
yeah,
we put out
COVID
COVID
sucks.
EPs as well. I mean,
But it's about COVID. It's about like oh my god, one day it's all gonna be over. I'm gonna be sitting with my friends on the couch again.
there is going to be so much COVID music that we're going to go back onto and just say this was really, really, really cringe.
And this is
Yeah,
an
like my
example.
EP.
Yeah.
No one's gonna say oh
Nah.
yeah, that's a COVID EP. Like this one,
To us, we're just a bunch of outsiders making music. I mean,
Right.
not so much tricks, but like in these cases, it's like there is so much music that has come out over the past 2 years, and probably in the next few new variant.
Omicron, the Nomad Soul.
Like one of the ones that I can remember in just a bad way. I believe it was Ali Bada and one of the members from Holy Holy, because they're partners, and I don't know if they live together or not, but they collaborated because even if they're partners, they're allowed to like visit each other under the rules, and they made this song about COVID, and it was so fucking bad. And it was just trying to talk about COVID and do it in this. I don't know what type of way they were trying to do it, but the songwriting is just bad, and it's not the only song that's been like that. It's just the example I have, and it's like going listening to COVID EPs and stuff like that. At the time, they weren't really that good. They can only get worse.
Yeah, it's gonna be the one thing that doesn't stand the test of time, mostly because it's like okay, I understand you're feeling some things about it maybe, and you got to express it and you got to get it out there.
I would argue that a lot of them can't stand the test of time because they didn't even stand the release. I mean,
Sure.
granted, test of time can obviously improve stuff. I mean, there's a lot of albums that are poorly received at the start, but I mean, there were some absolute fucking incredible tunes that came out about COVID or during COVID. I mean, even ones that I thought were kind of cringe at the start. Like, I didn't like Bring Me the Horizon's Parasite Eve when it first came out, but that one actually does stand the test of time because as COVID went on, it just got better and the words kind of just hit more.
Yeah.
You go into EPs like this Co-Stanza, and it's like, yeah. And again, it's not like they can't release this stuff. You want to just release it in acoustic EP, go fucking for it.
Yeah.
And it's not like this is bad. It's just uninteresting, and I
Yeah.
don't think there's any test of time that will be on this, because I think it would just be like this guy was born and made an acoustic EP, and it exists.
I mean, I only disagree in the fact that he is a musician. You know, he's trying to be like a professional musician. It's not just some guy releasing stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he's open for Beach Money. In Chicago, yeah, he's open for Beach Money, so he has some credibility. You know, I Don't Mind has gotten 1 million streams, so there is some degree of like popularity, something that he could make a career out of if he went more in that direction, which is kind of the narrative I was interested in. Of like, okay, the Cool We're Having Fun EP. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, I definitely do agree with you that if he went into this more pop direction, he would become larger.
Because the Cool We're Having Fun EP, it's kind of like laid back. It's like I had the joke of like, is it Mac DeMarco like or Mac DeMarco light? And it's like
neither really for me.
Yeah, it's not really either.
Yeah.
I really liked the Cool We Are Having Fun EP.
It was alright. It was
The Cool We Are Having Fun EP was the best out of all the stuff we listened to. Like, I didn't actually really like that much for I Don't Mind. I don't hate it, and that's just a lot of the songs on here. I don't hate it, but I don't really like it. I mean, I don't hate anything that we listened to this week. It's just like these I just don't really like. At least the Cool We Are Having Fun was more seeming like, they were just having fun and going around with it, and that's what kind of made it the best, but I still wasn't that interested in it.
The problem I have then is like, it really felt like he was going for something with the increased production on those other songs, those singles that he put out. Like, it's just this whole track of singles that are so much more produced, so like they're layered, the synths that are layered into there and everything. Like, he put some thought into it, and then those are the best tracks I think of his. And so it's kind of disappointing that he took the acoustic turn, and then when he tried to come back with 20 minutes, I was very underwhelmed because like 20 minutes I just have such an issue with because it feels so horribly mixed. listening to 20 minutes is like listening to the song when your phone is like 6 feet away from you in your room and you're too lazy to go and get it. And so you're just listening to whatever's on.
The shower tunes.
Yeah. Like, you can turn the volume up as much as you want, but it's never going to sound loud enough that you feel the music. It's just muted in a way that I really do not like, and I do not feel really fits the song.
It's all MIDI. There's no real bass to it. I feel you.
Yeah, because I feel like what was great about like Test the Water, Ease My Mind, and I Don't Mind was that they were more mixed dynamically. They felt more you were being kind of enveloped in it a little bit more, and like it was surrounding you a bit more. It was more you were in the music, where this is like you're kind of just standing back from the music and kind of just like listening to it. So I'm really curious what his like reasoning was behind all of that, because it's a new song. You would think he would learn and like take his production techniques and the things that he's done with other people and advance them, and like, okay, maybe I can make an album of this sort. But with 20 minutes, it just feels like a step back.
From what I've seen of his Bandcamp and us trying to contact him, if we can contact him, he seems fairly approachable, so we might even just be able to ask him and have him out as like a guest on the podcast at some point.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah. I would like to take a minute to talk about the mystery I uncovered, if that's cool.
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
So today I was catching up on the listening, make sure I had listened to everything, and so I asked Dominic. It's just the hey, cool, you're having fun EP, right? And the singles, and he's like, no, this EP too. And I'm like, oh, weird, it's not streaming and it's not on his Bandcamp. And then I clicked on the Spotify link in his bio of Bandcamp, and it brought us to a third EP from 2019.
Listed as a single.
That is just nowhere to be found.
Yeah, it is. It was uploaded at some point and then just gone.
Yes.
Like,
and so it's like James Cherry, but like more.
Yeah, because James Cherry, we found it on like it was like an Indian music service, I think.
Yes.
And like there was a link on an Indian music service this time for the EP, but it wasn't on there either.
No, it was not, even with a VPN.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, this existed at one point, but you can no longer listen to it or download it or anything.
Yes, and so I shot him an email through Bandcamp saying, hey, can I get your entire discography for $20? And we'll see where that goes. So,
and I shot up an Instagram DM being like, can I just have that EP for $20-$30? Hopefully we get it. Because it's a strange thing. I feel like, okay, I just released this music 2 years ago and it's already gone, right?
Yes.
Like, what happened that was so catastrophically worth taking it away?
Lawsuit, maybe? Like, maybe he sampled something?
Even then, like, either you clear it, you change the track, or you do something else.
Yeah, so there's got to be something wrong fundamentally with that EP, or just... Because, like, I still haven't delisted my EP, and I'm fucking ashamed of that thing.
And, like, if he's ashamed of it, like, Patch of Grass is no fucking, like, amazing EP either.
Yeah. So we're just left with questions.
And then we found out that his Twitter account was suspended.
And so is his SoundCloud.
Interesting. I didn't realize the SoundCloud was also suspended. You mentioned something about it.
It doesn't exist. The SoundCloud doesn't exist. Like, I click the link and it's like, oh, that account doesn't exist. I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, so something happened.
Yeah.
Was he getting canceled? Did he just get in a lawsuit? We have no idea.
Yes.
Even if we were getting him on the podcast, would he talk about it? Probably not. I would not expect him to. But
we can hope.
I get the sense with James Cherry, he was just like, you know, it's not the direction I want to go in. I'm not ashamed of it per se, but it just doesn't suit me.
That might have also been a case of it was only available for streaming in the UK too.
That too. We found it eventually. But
yeah.
It was haphazardly taken down, inaccessible in some places, accessible in others. Some songs were accessible, some songs weren't. This is just totally gone. Except the phantom like profile links of it. Like, you can see the song titles, you can see the cover art even, but just not the songs. Yeah,
like I linked it and I'm like, the fuck?
I was also surprised. Like, I didn't realize there was this whole other thing.
Yeah.
Because I try to do my research. There's no mention of it, like, anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I looked through his past history on like social media and stuff, and like there's no post that talks about it. I guess he deleted all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's only linked on his Bandcamp page, which is weird.
And I'm guessing he doesn't really update the Bandcamp very much.
Yeah, because only Cool We Are Having Fun is on it.
And he also has like 2 YouTube channels, I want to say, as well.
Yeah.
And we also found his old Twitter account from high school. He was still having his, career and all that.
Yeah.
So 2 accounts. What's going on?
Yeah.
I looked into any of it.
But yeah, I think that's the most interesting part of Costanza, and I feel bad saying that.
It is, but
yeah.
It's what it is.
He's a solid musician who can do a good song or two if taken in the right direction. And I think he's proven that.
Yeah.
It's just now, is he going to stick with that? Is he just going to do what he wants? Like, is this what he wants, not even like what's commercially viable? Who knows?
Yeah.
But like you said, the mystery that surrounded it, I think, like I guess I was sad in a way that it wasn't better. Because I've listened to this stuff before. I don't know, at the time I was like, this is all right. I could see this being interesting to talk about, but it really wasn't.
Yeah.
But now the mystery has kind of saved that.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
So that's the lesson. If you want to be talked about on podcasts, you don't have to make interesting music. You just need to get yourself banned off social media.
That's the general
This
rule.
is what cancel culture is about. You know that, right? That's the whole idea of cancel culture.
That's the only reason any of us would ever bring up Trapped.
Cancel culture, but also true
You're
crime
right.
podcasts.
Yeah. And we're not a true crime podcast.
Not yet.
Maybe we'll figure out a way to work in a crime into this music. We'll see.
Committing crimes live on air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna hold up this drugstore.
Oh no. You
I'm
submitted to
gonna
it.
say the N-word. If no one has ever seen that classic Penguins of Madagascar get the N-word pass video, you've missed out on
I think you've linked it in chat before.
It's a
Yes.
beautiful period of YouTube.
It is.
I
So
would quote it, but that would get us cancelled.
sure, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to.
Yeah. No.
Please,
But-
I beg.
Yes, please. Let's cancel Ritalin.
No. Go
Anyway.
on. What were we saying?
Cool, we were having fun as the better EP. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Agree.
I appreciate some of what he does. I think probably, I don't know, I've had some of it in my mind a little bit, but probably the title track, or Now I Just Don't Know, is probably the best song on there, just because it's so easy and chill.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, the least favorite song's probably the first song, maybe?
Let me pull up Cool You're Having Fun.
I'm probably not even going to be bothered going through all the favorites.
Favorite was the title track, Cool You're Having Fun. And
Yeah.
then the rest kind of just passed over me, and I remember just enjoying it.
Patch of Grass, it's all just whatever for me. I don't really have a favorite or least favorite.
Me either.
But I will shout out, I Don't Mind, Ease My Mind. Even Test the Water is fine. I think those are his 3 best songs.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
At least of what we listened to. Sorry, Save Your Future. Save for Your Future EP.
Maybe Save for Your Future is where all the fucking bangers are.
It's possible that all the bangers are on the fucking James Cherry EP that we couldn't barely
They
find.
were.
20 minutes, fucking mix better.
Yeah, I'd say favorite out of the whole James. I always said James Cherry. It was that much uninterested out of the Costanza. Favorite was probably the title track, or Were You Having Fun? Least favorite, I would agree, is 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Cool. I will just say that he has another project called WLF2MN. I don't know what that means. I know a guy, Noah Ice is in there, so shout out Noah Ice. We gotta rep the local community.
Everything we do cover from here is going to be a shit ton more interesting.
Yes.
Where should we start?
I'll let you two choose.
Should we continue along the track of your picks?
You want to talk about Beach Money already? Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like I need to just get this away. Like, my opinions on this EP have completely changed from when it came out.
Okay,
It's no longer fearing.
take us through your timeline. Don't tell us yet. Take us through your timeline.
Okay, so when this EP came out in like January of last year, was it, or
This
like the
year.
beginning of the year?
Beginning of the year.
This year.
January
Yeah, this year.
15th.
And the end of what I was thinking of, like the end of last year is where like Blame Game came out initially.
So it was end of last year. I think it
Good
was
Girls.
actually December 1st.
Good Girls Don't Get Used. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is one of the first tracks I added to the 2021 shortlist I have.
Yeah, and when I first heard Good Girls Don't Get Used, I absolutely loved the instrumental and hated the lyrics, and I'm still kind of there
Mm-hmm.
because I just get a sketchy vibe, like the whole "Who's the girl on your story?" It's like I can't have other female friends, and like I understand the accusing of cheating, but like at the same time, like we can have friends of the same or opposite sex. It doesn't fucking matter.
Well, the line about I wanted to come over, but apparently you had some girl at your house that was just a friend.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had female and male friends at my house, and my ex got mad at me.
I want to say that the context of that line I don't think is supposed to mean, oh, I won't come over because you have a girl. I think that's supposed to be the guy saying you can't come over because there's this other person, but don't worry about him. I think that context kind of makes it a lot different.
Like, yeah, he's supposed to be shitty.
We're also only seeing one half of it too. Like it could be like
breakup song. You're seeing goddamn.
You're right. Like the way I saw it is because I was in that situation where it's like, oh, I'm seeing this old friend, and we're just hanging out. We haven't talked to each other. I'll see you later, and something like that. And I could see that getting twisted into apparently a girl that was just a friend was at your house. It's like, yeah, it's a good friend of mine. And like, so there's two sides to it, obviously, and I just got sketched out.
Well, there's three sides to every story. There's always the prosecutor, the defense, and the truth.
The truth.
I mean, pretty much every breakup song that's ever goddamn been out there, it's one-sided, or even if it's not one-sided, it doesn't really do the truth. Honestly, the best goddamn breakup songs that are actually out there are the ones that don't actually have a side to them, and you just try to actually take an honest kind of look at it. Like Kite String Tangle Arcadia is one of my favorite breakup tunes out there, because that isn't a whole throwing blame at anyone. It's not throwing shame at anybody. It's just a whole, like, it has this line that says, sometimes things don't come full circle. That's the whole point. It's just, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Those types of breakup songs don't have a side, and not every breakup is like that, and especially with every musician and stuff like that. But you're gonna have songs like this, or even if not breakups, sometimes it's just about the ex or anything. They're always going to be one-sided. There are ones that you think they're probably a lot better, and it then probably will end up turning out that the actual person who wrote it was the abuser themselves.
Sure.
So.
I also think of Jolene in a sense too, because Jolene's not necessarily a breakup song. I Will Always Love You is the breakup song of that duo of songs, but Jolene is more of like a plea to don't make this happen, don't take my man.
I've always seen Jolene as like a gay song, if I'm going to be honest. This is a total aside, but I mean, listen to how Dolly describes Jolene and then just describes her man as her man. And it's the only man she can love, which, and yet she's describing Jolene's auburn hair perfectly.
I mean, that could be also insecurity, but sure.
Yeah.
It is
but
also
that's just how I've always looked at it, if I'm going to be honest. And then when Lil Nas X covered it, I totally got it. So back to Blame Game. Upon like my first couple listens, I absolutely hated Lovesick and Nice Guys. But I don't know what it is. They grew on me hard.
Normally, I start to panic. Normally, I want you close to
Yeah.
Good song. I will say that Nice Guys is still my least favorite off the CP. Something about it, it's not a terrible song, it's not bad or anything, but it just doesn't hit like the other songs do.
Yeah.
I'd say my least favorite is probably more along the lines of Lovesick, because Lovesick doesn't feel in tune with the rest of the more hard-hitting sense of the EP.
It's a complete kind of like tone shift at the opening.
It's more of a Costanza song than it is a hard-hitting Beach Bunny song.
Yeah. And then Blame Game. Holy fuck, I love Blame Game.
It's a good track.
Yeah, I mean it's a great closer to this EP. It's a very I
There
think it's
is
probably the shortest thing that Beach Bunny has put out actually.
there is some spangly 12-string guitar on Blame Game, and just oh man, first when I heard that I fell in love. Like when I first heard the EP when it came out, I fell in love. Like
Mhm.
what if you want to know the quickest way to my heart? Pull out an electric 12-string guitar, and I will fucking swoon.
There's also a Blame Game video game.
Yes, and there was a chiptune cover of "Good Girls Don't Get Used" that goes fucking hard in it.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I was kind of like noticing about Blame Game EP, and it's just out of my personal enjoyment of it, and it's just noticing it's like this is kind of a better whole experience than their debut was,
Yes.
but its highs still just don't reach the highs that Honeymoon has for me. Like there are
It's
some
the highest that Adulting has for me, or Prom Queen rather,
Yeah.
is the EP.
I guess.
like Honeymoon has some moments, and I do recognize the flaw there, Domino, and I'll put it right to you after I'm done.
Sure.
Like there are a lot of moments on Honeymoon that I like and love actually. Specifically moments that grew on me, like Promises I've always thought was a top tune, but Cuffing Season I love the and the chorus to that. I think it's Rear View or something where it has that kind of whole build up outro to it, which is a kind of incredible moment. But then it also does have lower lows, like Miss California is still boring of a track. It worked fine as a bonus track on their Prom Queen EP, but never really as a actual track. Racetrack is also just a boring, not needed 2-minute interlude in an already short album. Obviously,
This track is still my favorite off that album. I'm sorry.
that's fine. This is just me going personal. I mean, we're all not really big fans of Dream Boy, but then like Cloud9's actually a good closer. I think that one actually started to blow up on TikTok or something.
Because it has the Tegan and Sarah cover as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I now
Um,
recognize. Sorry, Trix. I recognize the flow of Domino.
I guess for me, as someone
Yep.
who listened to Beach Bunny because of the podcast, Honeymoon never really stuck with me. I had a bad taste in my mouth because of it. I think mostly because of the ending of the album. But it was just an album I just overall didn't want to go back to. And
Yeah.
when I listened to Blame Game, I had similar vibes at first. Like I remember first listening to this album, just not being into it at all. Just flatline. I think I listened to it when I was first listening to the Noteworthy 01 stuff.
Mm.
And like in context of all that, like it just seemed like one of the lesser EPs I was listening to at that time. But now, on the other hand, I have come to really enjoy this EP, and I enjoy it much more than Honeymoon. Like maybe I'll go back to Honeymoon and really start to like it, but this EP really turned my opinion around on Beach Bunny. And
at some point we need to cover. Sorry to like interrupt for a second, but at some point we need to cover Prom Queen
sure,
because that has my favorite Beach Bunny song on it. Because and it's Adulting. Because Adulting goes fucking hard.
I will argue that Painkiller is the best track off that EP.
Adulting, all the way. Adulting.
Maybe-
After all this
maybe Adult
time,
Mount, or maybe Beach Bunny will be one of the few artists that we all choose at different times.
Maybe.
But
I mean, I've got no real intention to choose because
oh right, Trix chose it.
no,
Yeah.
not just that, but like it's also just like I've listened to their early stuff and like I heard of Beach Bunny way before we even did this podcast. Back before Prom Queen came out. Actually, I heard him when Sports came out, and that song just bored me to death. And I go
like
back to it.
sports.
I go back to it, and it still does.
For some reason, I thought Honeymoon was your
Not,
pick for a
not
second.
as
but-
much, but like it still bores me. And like I go back to early Beach Bunny, and I think they're an artist now that's just actually gradually getting better and better. And they've written some songs here which I think maybe they won't reach those peaks again. Maybe those will be top, but I think their albums will start to get more consistent. Will start to get more output, and I think they are now actually in that kind of peak of their creative output.
Oxygen's
And
a great
hopefully-
song.
Hopefully,
Oxygen
Oxygen
kicks
is
ass.
great.
Oxygen's
I
a
was
great
like, I was
peak to the
thinking
future.
if I was putting any songs from Beach Bunny this year on my top 100, I mean, Good Girls is getting on there. I actually like that song a lot.
Yeah.
It's now I'm thinking, do I do Lovesick or does it end up going to Oxygen?
It's gonna go
if
to
I do a
Oxygen for
second
me.
Oxygen.
But
I'm still in
um,
debate about it. No spoilers until I've actually,
sure.
done my top 100.
But I will say a lot of the EPs I've chosen this year, I think a lot of the EPs period that came out this year that we listened to, I did not enjoy as much, or enjoy it at least as much as you two did. Home is Where being the obvious exception. Like I remember when I did JPEG Mafia, EP and EP2 did not hit me the way I wanted to. When I did OK Cool, those EPs did not come out to me the way I wanted them to. So I feel like this is the EP, was the only really other EP I've heard this year that I really enjoy, like in the same even realm of Home is Where. It's not my top EP at all, but
yeah, it's nowhere close to Home is Where, but like it is still a good EP. And honestly, I think Home is Where is an absolute classic, so it's kind of unfair to compare things to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I guess there's just the disappointment for me of like I've tried so many, not so many, but enough EPs this year that I felt disappointed by the crop until we get here, and it took me until November, late November, to get into it after it's been out the whole year. It's just interesting, like kind of the music that we don't pick, like how much would we actually enjoy it compared to what we do pick. Hard to know, but I mean, I had to rep Beach Bunny at some point. You know, it's part of my local scene. You know, they started out in suburban shows. You know, they were doing stuff with Skeletubbies. They were doing stuff with Co-Stanza. You know, they're an integral part of that community. We can run clubs there with them too sometimes. It's an interesting kind of transition bridge point between kind of the like, oh, these are just people who enjoy making music, and oh, these are people who are really taking it seriously, like making careers out of it and making music people flock to.
Well, yeah. I think the big difference between a lot of these bands, not just that Beach Bunny is more more poppy in its sound, but Beach Bunny is literally a lot of its their success has come from TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the platform or anything to know exactly what it is. Maybe it's just memes. Maybe it's people just putting it in the background. But Prom Queen and Cloud9 both got success from TikTok virality.
Prom Queen entirely got success off the like the whole idea of people not thinking they're enough.
I remember us talking about that during the original episode of Beach Bunny. Yeah.
My little sibling, they knew about Beach Bunny before I did. Actually, I discovered them through like a radio. And like I just came up and I'm like, oh, this goes hard. I like this. And then I brought it up to them and they're like, oh yeah, they got popular on TikTok.
I mean, Prom Queen's on the actual songs. It's actually on Rock Band DLC.
Well, that's cool.
I
purchased it a while ago.
That's pretty cool.
Very boring song to play. No
structure. I'm entirely sure.
Yeah, but it's still cool.
Yeah, you gotta have some of those songs on this.
The other really cool thing too is that everything we've listened to this week has a really interesting connection. I'm going to call this episode something like the Chicago-Melbourne connection, because you have, Costanza. Costanza opens up for Beach Bunny. Beach Bunny is on the same label, Mom and Pop, as Courtney Barnett. Courtney Barnett lives in Melbourne, where Snakadaktal and Tiny Little Houses were.
Hold on. Say that fucking town name again, or I guess city.
Melbourne.
You went fucking Melbourne for a second there.
Melbourne.
It's the wine, I promise. But,
always pronounce it correctly. Thank you.
Yeah, so Courtney Barnett and Snakadaktal and Tiny Little Houses all gone from Melbourne. Courtney Barnett and Beach Bunny are on Mom and Pop, and then Costanza opens for Beach Bunny. It's the Chicago-Melbourne connection. Is Courtney Barnett
fully on Mom and Pop?
It is, I think, one of her U.S. distributors, not fully
I think it's
on.
a U.S. Yeah, I think it's just U.S. there, but that still counts. I
know
she was definitely not.
Like when you look at Mom and Pop, she is listed as one of their signed artists.
Well, she's also a part of Matador.
Yeah, she is.
Which is the big one, I'm pretty sure. And there's also Milk Records, which is like Australian distribution, but I don't know how much it still is. She's no longer. She might not be on Matador anymore, actually.
So Things Take Time were distributed by Milk, Mom and Pop, and Marathon Artists.
Okay, cool. It just says Matador. I guess
maybe Matador's in there somewhere. I don't know.
I really only know Milk Records because that's the Australian label she started.
Oh, cool.
Gotcha.
So yeah, of course it'd be there.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
I enjoy. It's fun in that Beach Bunny has come back to me in a way that I enjoy and has turned around. And it's rare that I think bands for me so far in this podcast have turned around to such a degree.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have it happen.
One thing I would like to share. It's kind of a little off topic, but it's just a good memory to share. I have a good connection with my younger sibling over Beach Bunny. Before I moved out to Indiana, they dyed my hair red, or initially purple. It was supposed to be purple, and then it went red. While we listened to the Beach Bunny Audio Tree Live EP,
Hmm.
and that's just a good memory for me.
Pretty nice.
We need to do like just an audio tree episode next year. There's so much.
We do, or like KEXP.
Yeah.
Like all like there's 3 of them that come to mind.
Yeah.
So
Favorite
Favorites
track?
of this?
Go ahead.
Good girl. Least favorite. Nice guys.
Favorite probably. Well, Oxygen's my favorite of all the tracks of theirs this week.
yes,
But I do like Lame Game. I do like Lovesick. No, Lovesick's probably actually my least favorite. It's a good EP. I really like this EP, so it's hard to really choose.
yeah,
I do feel you on the whole Good Girls Don't Get Used still being a bit sketchy in the lyrics, because it's like, I get it's about female empowerment. I get that it's, an EP against sexual assault and harassment of women.
yeah.
And I do appreciate...
I'm also talking from experience here and like I got out of a really bad relationship.
Yeah.
And so that's where my mind was at the time when I heard it.
Sure. And I do appreciate kind of the shift in focus from Honeymoon being about breakups and love and all that stuff to Blame Game being more about societal issues and kind of mixing that in there.
Yeah.
I just... The amount of, like, I feel like parody and, like, kind of, like, assumed lines in Good Girls in terms of, like, she's not actually saying good girls don't get used, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Like, the amount of that I feel like that's in the song overall, that feeling that, like, oh, she can't really be saying this. Like, it's gotta be like
it's an irony of good girl of like good girls don't get used. It's very ironic in like the way she's saying it. I can tell.
But it just feels like the whole song is that to such a degree that I'm like, I get skeeved out by it.
Yeah.
But hey, Oxygen's a great track, and this EP
Oxygen kicks so much ass. I'd like to point out the art for Oxygen also just kicks ass.
Oh yeah, I would love a sci-fi direction for funny.
Yeah, like just Dr. Manhattan holding her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since we're doing this connection thing, shall we move over to Courtney Barnett?
Hell yeah, let's do it. That's my suggestion.
Hold on, Trix. Before you say anything, I fucking told you that Courtney Barnett was good. What did you two do? What did you two do when I covered her so many fucking months ago? What did you do?
I liked Courtney Barnett.
You both still fucking dismissed it though.
Courtney Barnett has grown on me. I think I gave it number 2. What else was that week?
Let me look it up. I have the records. Keep talking.
The
It's gonna
record
take a
keeper.
second.
But yeah, I'll talk about why I chose this record. I chose this record because both of my parents like Courtney Barnett, which is astonishing to me because my parents didn't like each other.
That's the same with my parents. They both took Japanese wallpaper.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the episode that we chose Malblum and Frank Ocean.
Yeah, I liked Malblum a lot better than Courtney Barnett, and I will still stand by that.
And I think Blonde's an overrated record. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But my impression of Courtney Barnett has improved. I do like this album better than her previous one that we covered. However, I'm still not like totally on board that train. I think Pickles from the Jar is still her best song that I've heard. And I've come to really appreciate her really unique vocal style. Like, I think it's really identifiable, and I really like that in an artist, and I really like the way she sings songs.
The way she says her A's is very distinct.
Yes. And
that's just an Australian thing.
But like compared to like last week when we did like
how we pronounce can't.
Well, like compared to the previous weeks when we've listened to like Lucy Dacus and we've listened to other artists that were like Fan Club Wallet, where I felt like kind of the issue with a lot of those, even though I really liked the Lucy Dacus album, was that a lot of them tended to sound the same because the vocalists to some degree didn't have enough that I felt made their voices really distinct.
That cover of This Must Be the Place is still in my rotation. That song, I like that cover a lot.
I actually haven't listened to the cover, but
yeah, never have I.
I also just really love the Talking Heads, and I need to cover more Talking Heads.
We should cover the movie. This Must Be the Place with Sean.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
We should cover. When you said movie, my brain went to Stop Making Sense.
Also, True Stories.
let's all
Talking
take
Heads
acid
movie.
and watch Stop Making Sense.
The David Byrne movie. True Stories. Great movie. Anyway,
That's gonna be my birthday present to myself. I'm gonna have some mushrooms and watch Stop Making Sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
but like I feel like Fan Club Wallet and like all that stuff kind of felt like Adult Mom, and I feel like there's like a big genre of like that. Like I don't know how to say it without being like offensive. You know what I mean? Of like a lot of female artists tend to have kind of indie pop songs that sound similarly in that genre.
Vaguely queer AFAB indie artists do all
Yes.
kind of sound the same.
And like I don't want it to be a big like deal in the sense of like, oh, I'm stereotyping all these people. But it's really nice to
use your gay card to get out of any controversy. That's what we have them for.
Yeah, I made sure to say it too, so I can specifically use the trans card to cover your ass.
playing the gay card, okay. But with Courtney Barnett, I feel like there is like an artist who is separating herself from the pack, who's doing something that is unique and interesting. Even if I'm not the biggest fan of Things Take Time, I do recognize that it's a better album than her previous one that we listened to. Still haven't listened to the one in between.
Fully disagree. Sometimes I sit and think, and sometimes I just sit. Is a full-on classic where her vocal styles get more of a showcase because she's not just doing straight up just indie rock as she does on this record. Like I like this record. It's not as impressive as sometimes I sit and think. Sometimes I sit and think is actually just goddamn poetry disguised as an alternative record.
Yeah.
And there's some good stuff on
It's
there.
still good, but it's still just indie rock.
Yeah.
But that's also like evolution of her sound too, which I do appreciate her doing different things and trying to not just be the same thing over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I mean, the record in between, by the way, is good, but I mean, still, I think I do prefer this one over it. Because Tell Me How You Really Feel did also get influenced a lot by just by all the fucking criticisms that she was getting online, which were absolutely goddamn disgusting.
yeah.
And that kind of influenced the record, and it translated fine sometimes, and was just kind of boring the other times.
Mm-hmm.
I would be interested to listen to it. I'd also be interested to see kind of how Courtney's image overseas has improved, because I know like she's doing late night shows. She's doing like she had a Grammy nomination for Best New Artist. And this
She
album-
had an NPR spotlight, and that's where my mom had heard of her.
and a Tiny Desk thing as well, concert.
Yeah.
But I know like this album also peaked on 200 on the top 200 Billboard chart. You know what I mean? So it barely got attention, but it did get some attention.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, like it was the thing too of like I thought I remembered like Warpaint getting canceled to some degree, and then when I looked it up, it really wasn't. So at first I was like, oh, she's teaming up with Warpaint. That's weird. But then it's like, okay, I guess it really wasn't anything super big, just some misunderstanding.
Criticizing Beyonce. Oh, you can't do that.
I
There's a lot to
swear
criticize Beyonce about. to
I
be
swear
honest.
the thing I thought they were doing is much worse. So if that's all it is, then that's fine.
I mean, Barnett's not really someone who would be associating themselves with controversial figures, I guess, is the term.
Do they use they them?
Courtney, no.
Oh.
It's just they is a gender neutral term that
Sure.
you can use to describe anything.
That's true. I just want to make sure I was saying the right thing.
No,
Yeah.
it's Courtney Barnett's. I'm pretty sure it's still female.
Yeah.
What was I on about? Yeah, the most controversial thing she's probably ever done was cover Kanye West's Black Skinhead, in which she said, "I don't really listen to hip hop."
Interesting.
That's probably the most controversial thing she's actually done.
Yeah.
Not much.
I will say she's got a bitchin' mullet.
Although there was a great response to that actually, where Horror Show, an Australian rapper, ended up doing a version like couple weeks after her, and just put up a cheeky kind of like diss for one line, when which he covered Lou Reed's "Walk on the Wild Side" with "Can I Kick It?" Because obviously the sample in that, and he was kind of doing the line like how he doesn't listen to Lou Reed kind of thing as a kind of dig at Courtney Barnett. That is the full in-depth history of Australian beef in between artists. It's never really gotten much more than that.
Have either of you listened to All Eyes on the Pavement? The 13-second track she put out around the time of this album, from the perspective of the guy in the first album who did the I forget what the song is called, who like the elevator song.
Elevator
Elevator
yes.
operator.
Yeah, so she did like a 13-second track or something from this guy's perspective around the time of this album, which I thought was cool. But I didn't listen to it because I was busy. But still, like, she's still
Don't have
carrying
13 seconds. Time is precious.
When I work 12-hour days.
To be fair, those 13 seconds can be used quite a bit better. Yeah. I've just been admiring her the Jaguars she uses because I'm a guitar nerd.
Fair enough. Look, there is there's some good moments on this record as well. The first single, the lead single of this record, which is also the opener, is still a good opener because it does actually set the tone for this album quite perfectly.
Yeah.
It's not a fantastic track, and that's my only gripe with this. Is sometimes I sit and think, and sometimes I just sit. If you like ask me for like, what's my favorite off that, it could actually genuinely just change because there's like so many good songs. I usually stick with Pedestrian at best, but like I always just say, but hey, Depressed's good, or Nobody Really Cares is good, or if I'm in the right frame of mind, I will say, hey, Dead Fox is also a great song on there. And here, it's like, there's some good tracks, but there's nothing special. The singles don't really stand out too much in the deep cuts, nor do the deep cuts do too much to beat the singles on here. It is a consistent record. I think there's still some fine moments of instrumentation on here. They've definitely gone for a minimalistic kind of vibe on this record, but yet still tried to make the instruments kind of more than just a guitar and her singing.
Right. I mean, it's worth mentioning Stella Mozgawa is also on here from Warpaint, which is why I brought up Warpaint. But this is the kind of album that, again, I think is partially brought up by the pandemic and being more sparse, perhaps, and sometimes more not as experimental, perhaps, because they don't have as much access to things.
Yeah, but she's not really an experimental artist.
Sure, but I mean, we're talking about how the first album had more going on.
Yeah, and I'm not even like talking like 100 gex level of like experimenting or anything. I'm just talking like, hey, she usually just makes alternative indie rock, and I mean that's why her kind of like big catch was always her songwriting.
Yeah,
I mean a lot of people just do not like her vocals, and to be honest, I've never really seen it. I think they're fine.
They're fine. I like them.
Yeah.
I will ask you though. Can you describe what dull wave is?
No.
I saw it as a descriptor.
I've never actually seen that term thrown around unironically, I guess.
It was on her Wikipedia page at least, so maybe that's just some hate left over for all I know. But
yeah,
maybe.
I didn't look it up. I should have.
I feel like maybe that's. She is a sarcastic enough person that maybe she's described it as dull wave, but I don't know.
The word is DOLE, not DOLL.
Then I don't know.
According to Wikipedia, dull wave is an Australian music genre that emerged in the early 2010s. Initially used online as an in-joke to describe an indie scene in Melbourne, and running Twerp's, Dick Diver, and other groups, the term has since been applied by other music critics to a wider range of Australian acts that share a DIY ethic and a peculiarly and recognizably Australian sound, such as Courtney Barnett and Rolling Blackouts Coastal Fever.
I listened to all those artists there. I've never heard of the term dull wave, nor would have I used it as a term to describe any of them.
Fair enough. I figured it might have been like a pub rock thing of like, you know what that is, and I really don't.
Oh, I mean, Rolling Coastals and Dick Diver are somewhat pub rocky. I wouldn't ever call Courtney Barnett pub rock. I mean, Dick Diver, I would. But...
Common influences include the 1980s jangle pops of Australian bands such as the Go-Betweens, as well as the lo-fi Dundean sound of New Zealand's Flying Nun record label.
That's a classic record label there. It actually is a classic, but it's always had just one of the best names.
Flying Nun, yeah.
Yeah.
First it was Sally Field, then it was a whole country record label.
I mean, yeah, this is it's a good record, but I don't think it stands anywhere close to the peak that her debut had.
Yeah.
I like
I like it. It's again, her debut is just amazing, but this is a fun album.
I like it, but in the context of this episode, it still probably stands around the same standing as her debut did on that episode.
Now, actually, we're gonna do favorites and least favorites. Favorites are Ray Street and If I Don't Hear From You Tonight. Least favorite, I don't know, maybe a Turning Green. That one just felt really. It felt more like a rip-off of other songs than it felt like an actual.
I really like Turning Green.
I don't know. It's just. I guess that's just how I felt about it.
I liked. Here's the thing. My favorite. That was my favorite track. I'm lying this too much, maybe. My least favorite track is probably Sunfair Sundown.
Favorites for me are hold up, I just had them. Before You Gotta Go and Turning Green, and I really don't have a least favorite.
Fair enough. All right, which one of mine do we want to start off with first?
Tiny Little Houses.
We're going with Tiny Little Houses. Tricks to any.
Let's talk about the Catholics.
The Catholic.
Should I have my hot take of the episode? It's not really that hot, but like it's a take.
Sure.
I really like the instrumentation of this album, but I cannot stand the singer's voice.
Are you my girlfriend?
I also relate the instrumentation to this voice, but I like the singer's voice because the singer reminds me of Lorenzo 100%. But
I do not see it at all.
But when I was reading about him, I don't know, like Ritz tried to talk me down from the ledge a little bit, but I just felt not skeeved out.
I wasn't fucking trying to talk you down from a goddamn ledge. I wasn't thinking you were gonna go goddamn jump off because you don't like this guy's personality. I was just saying, nah, he's not actually a cunt. He's self-aware as sucked in.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll talk about Tiny Little Houses because I've actually been following.
Well, can I finish what I was saying? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was saying I'm not gonna criticize somebody for putting their religion on their record, but just the way it was presented in the articles that I had read made it just seem like he was really into like the self-immolation of just like, I like suffering. Suffering makes me feel human. You know, it's the way we need to be, kind of thing. Like, kind of that emo kind of stylings, but taken from a religious perspective, which I thought was a bit strange and a bit not comfortable for me.
I will now safely say, do not worry, Trix. You did not have the worst take today, there.
Fair enough.
If you ever go through this through their Facebook page and stuff like that, you will actually see just like how actual self-aware and unserious they are taking about all this stuff, but still have that kind of tone. Anyway, I'll go into Tiny Little Houses because this is a band I've been meaning to bring up since the start of this podcast, and I discovered them back in 2015 when they put out Soon We Won't Exist. They ended up putting out an EP as well called You Tore Out My Heart. It was it is that lo-fi, just break up with my girlfriend type of EP, but I still really like that record. I think there was a lot of interesting attempts they did in their songwriting there. I think a lot of those songs kind of hit me. Soon We Won't Exist, still one of my favorite Tiny Little Houses track. Then later, however, they would start to more transition into the Neutral Milk Hotel fans that they are, with their, what was it, Snow Globe EP, where they started to make their production a lot less clean, going into this edgier type of sound, this more doomer thing. I mean, they had songs like Song Against Apathy. They had this fucking really funny cover on it of, I think it's Casey Chambers' is Not Pretty Enough, which is just like an Australian pop song of this girl is like am I not pretty enough? Is my heart too broken? Kind of thing. It's this whole like, I want this guy to notice me type of song, and then they just covered it and made it this fucking Like, imagine Heavy Heavy cover as a cover of a fucking mainstream pop song. It's still one of the funniest things they've ever done, and they put that on the EP. And after that, they were kind of like, okay, this is now the band I'm most excited for their debut. And you know, they've put out quite a lot of bands. They haven't been the most prolific band out there, but they've still put out enough over the past couple of years that's kind of made them remain in my focus. I mean, Garbage Bin was in my top 20 for 2017. Their debut was in my top 10 records of 2018. Songs like Caroline and Drag Me. We didn't cover that, and probably won't. But there's a song called The Void on there where they literally their guitar unplugs itself halfway through the song, and they just keep it in for the aesthetic.
Hell yeah.
I mean, after you say you weren't going to cover Tones and I, and then you did, I'm not going to trust anything you say about that because you may change your mind.
Yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough. But I wasn't exactly like convinced yet with Tiny Little Houses because I felt like their debuts could still have some work. And here finally comes this album and this rollout, which I was excited for from the fucking beginning. Richard Corey came out last year. If you can't remember, that was number 4 in my top 100 last year, and I still have no regrets for that. That song is fucking incredible.
Good song. I like it on the album.
And I've been following the rollout for this year. This has been one of my most anticipated albums of this year. It's not my favorite, and I don't really give a fuck what you two think about it, because I still love this to fucking death.
Fair enough.
Don't get me wrong. I like this album actually quite a bit. I liked it more at first, and then the skeevy part of it came up, and I was like, it's still good. Like I think
you will get over that because it is more just you thinking, thinking it's a lot worse than it actually is. Because again, there is quite a lot of doomer themes on here. There's quite a lot of themes about depression and stuff, but also trying to say, hey, it's just me. This is what's kind of causing that, and trying to get better on it.
There's so many highlights, it's hard to really ignore. Like, I think the ending of the album is spectacular. I think Heavy Heavy and Holy Water are some of the best tracks on the album.
You can't say, like, hey, how's the religious influence on this record, when there's fucking Holy Water, which has the goddamn church bells in here, which works so fucking fantastic with the song.
Oh, and the beginning, the choir at the start of Holy Water is so fucking good and so fucking weird and creepy, but, like, really interesting to look.
Heavy Heavy as well, with the fucking chorus is just as simple as I'm pathetic, but fuck it just hits.
Like Emperor though, I really like as well. Emperor is
like the fucking
Emperor is great.
Emperor is like this random political track on here, and it's great. Yeah, like just the chorus starting off with the Emperor's got no clothes on. Like these aren't ground fucking breaking lines here or anything. There is. I mean, they reference it themselves in their memes and stuff like that. With some of these are just like I'm 14 and it's deep type lyrics, but a lot what happen in lyrics and what changes it from being I'm 14 and this is deep to holy fuck is delivery, and I don't think there's a single moment on here where the lines aren't delivered fucking well.
Yeah,
I mean, Car Crash is just simply I just want to die from a car.
Yeah, it's a good song.
It's one of my favorites on here. It's so fucking great.
Smartest Guy as well, just being the whole take on the guy who has to just be as always correct as possible, to ruin everything just to be seen as intelligent.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I talked about it a bit before. Richard Corey, that just kind of whole build up, and it's just like It's based. I can't remember who's the person who wrote the poem originally of Richard Corey, but it's like
I know. I've heard it. I remember thinking it was familiar. I'll look it up while you talk about it.
Yeah, but it's like them doing this reimagining of it into this song, and that build up is so fucking beautiful. The outro, the guitars, everything on here. It's a perfect lead single because it sums up this album so goddamn well.
Yeah.
This isn't a band so far, at least from this album, that feels like what Weezer should sound like. I don't listen to much Weezer. This is the kind of thing I imagine them doing. But then you also got to throw in like the Lorenzo vibes, because I really do think he sounds like Lorenzo, at least in some of these tracks.
I don't see it.
And look,
Oh,
I
how the
can
fuck
definitely
did I-
see that the vocals are controversial, I guess is the term to use for this. But it's what makes Tiny Little Houses stand out in this kind of whole field of lo-fi rock. Like,
Yeah.
there's not much there that has the vocals that work like this. This dude has sung in kind of softer, more acoustic vibes, and it works in that. So it's not like this dude can't sing. He's purposely going with this kind of vocal structure and the sound, and
Yeah.
to me, it just hits. I can't explain why I like this. Maybe it's because I've grown with it. Maybe it's because I've supported this band for so long. But I don't really fucking care because I love it.
This is the second band in a row that we talked about. Oh, yeah, their voices doesn't get along with everybody. It gets in some people, but we really like it. Courtney Barnett's the same way.
And Richard Corey, before we get too far off topic,
Yeah,
Edward Arlington Robinson.
that's the one. Thank you.
And I was just about how a guy's a sweet dude, and then he just went home one day and put a bullet in his face.
Yep.
I mean, I was always like concerned going into this record how the deep cuts were going to be. If it was just going to go, like be the singles, be the highlight, like their debut kind of was, and then maybe one or two good deep cuts. But no, there's some fantastic fucking songs in here. The opener, Cold Showers, I love. I mean, it's not these aren't my favorites or anything on here, but the lesser moments on this record hit much better than the lesser moments of all their other records and stuff. Their lyrics they're still very simple, comparatively to what they could be.
Yeah.
But like it's music that's supposed to be a lot like very sad boy, depressive, kind of like the world's and kind of shit. And yeah, it still has a lot of life to it, which is nice. There's a lot of fucking doomer music out there that's just fucking, oh, I'm gonna go cry, and then there's actually nothing to the goddamn music to actually keep you interested. So sometimes you cry out of boredom.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see why you might have some like concerns, I guess, about the personality when it comes to this type of music, but.
Because cold showers is all about, I take cold showers because it makes me suffer to a degree, and that, I guess, being comfortable, I don't know.
I can understand the having to subject yourself to something a little bit like that. I used to do stuff like that.
Like, I've done that before. Like, most people have, but I just feel like he's celebrating it to a degree that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like when the interviews try to describe him as trying to be monk-like, I don't know if that's necessarily, I don't know.
A good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I will stand by the dude's self-aware, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's just being sarcastic, or if it's probably most likely trying to make a joke and is not actually quite sure on how to make a joke.
Yeah.
That's probably actually the most likely on here. I mean, again, it's not really any celebrating that happens on here. I stress that they're a pretty self-aware band. It's more this. I mean, to me, this feels more about event than it does about celebrating.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see it as celebration, if you see it as like the personality is insufferable or anything like that, you're not going to get past that.
I would like to.
Until you do, I guess. But
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would love to see how this album like stays with me, because I bought it. You know, I have it.
Yeah, I picked it up as well.
Hell yeah.
I was gonna pick up my Tiny Little Houses CDs, so I got them all now. And I mean, even you could say that even with all this, you still love the outros to this album. And I would say the only moments on this record that I would say is like, hey, maybe it could have been cut, was probably Misery.
Yeah, this is my number 2 of the week. Like, it's pretty strong.
Yeah.
It's a little lower for me, but we'll get into the rankings when I talk about it.
But yeah, fucking Holy Water and Heavy Heavy is just a fucking that's incredible songwriting that they've done here, and it's some of their peak. I mean, I still probably prefer Car Crash and Richard Corey to them, but it makes me this is a band that I've been following for so long, and it could have just been like, their early stuff was better and stuff like that.
Right.
Blah, blah. But I'm still I'm still waiting for more music for them now. This isn't just like, okay, this is what I got and I'm happy now, or this isn't just a whole, they're getting it worse and worse. This is just constant seeing potential that seems to just get better and better. And yeah, it may not always be like their end result may not be as good as some of their previous stuff sometimes. Like I thought their debut wasn't as good as their EPs in a whole grand scheme of things. But I think their songwriting and their experimentation and all that is just getting better and better. They've kind of like gone from this Neutral Milk Hotel fans that they are to like their own sound now, which is great. I mean, I actually discovered this band before Neutral Milk Hotel, so that's a kind of fun part for
Wow.
me. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't
Weird.
discover Neutral Milk Hotel till like 2016, 2017, but I discovered this band in 2015.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough, indeed.
And I mean, apparently this band had more stuff before that, and you just can't really find that on streaming outside of people who uploaded it on YouTube.
Just
although,
like Costanza.
Although Tiny Little Houses did actually upload, I think it was Drag Me, slowed and reverbed onto their official YouTube channel.
Chopping screws.
They know their fan base. I mean, it's a good record. Yeah, it's full of depressive lyrics, and it might be so much that you feel like it's celebrating. I don't personally see it, but I can see how other people can see it. I think their instrumentation is just getting better and better. Even their softer tracks are getting a lot more interesting. Like I'm doing just the best that I can is like the best out of the soft tracks that they're doing here, and it's very calming.
Mm-hmm.
Despite probably being, I would say, is probably one of the more depressive tracks on here.
Word.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like this album. That's as much as I'm gonna say, I guess.
A lot of it's really good.
enough.
I actually really enjoy this album to a degree. Is it one of my favorites of the year? No, but it's still a really strong album.
Definitely, that's a good way to put it.
Favorites for me,
you go first.
probably somewhere around Emperor, Heavy, Holy Water. Least favorites probably Misery or maybe like Golden Boy or Cold Shower.
Like Golden Boy's a tune.
Not bad.
Favorite, I would say, is Rich DeCory and Car Crash are my favorites, and then obviously the shout outs to the closers. Least favorite, yeah, it's gonna stick with Misery.
I don't really have a favorite and least favorite. This album is just kind of overall good for me.
Cool.
Well, who wants to say their first thoughts about Snakadaktal?
This is entirely my vibe and up my alley, and it's going into my rotation.
Yeah, that's expected.
I like the XX. These aren't the XX, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a bunch of high school kids who put out an EP, and it's 10 years old now, and it's a classic.
Yeah.
It's not one of my favorite EPs of all time. It's not one of my, like, oh my god, I gotta show people anything, this album or this EP type of that. But I thought, hey, it's 10 years. It's still pretty impressive. May as well put this out. And this is probably Trix's number one, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Ah, it's not. Wow. That's a surprise.
I mean, it's really impressive for high schoolers. It doesn't feel like high schooler. Yeah, I wasn't big on Air necessarily when you showed it. It's still not my favorite song on here. I do think other songs really show off their skill.
I mean, Chimera is like, I don't know, Chimera or whatever.
Chimera is the one that I am interested in, as well as Carnival.
Yeah. I mean, Chimera, however you pronounce it, that one's just a complex tune and a half.
The way it just slows down with chorus and verse is so interesting.
Yeah.
And it's very ambient.
Yes. Which is why I compared it to the XX a little.
Like, and this is the stuff that kind of predates, not by much, but like predates Japanese wallpaper, and it's kind of its production and stuff. And I mean, they're both owner tie as well. And we kind of just had that period in the early 10s, I guess, where we had a lot of these like young ambient pop acts come up, and they actually got quite a bit of success for a while there.
One of the trends that I think I miss more than
and I mean, this isn't going to be like a classic or anything. I don't consider this a 10 out of 10. I think there are maybe some moments where it's like you can tell that they are still high schoolers. They have that big free songs obviously here, but then the other ones are fine.
That's just the part that that's kids.
Yeah. But I mean,
I just really like this album.
there are obviously still absolutely impressive moments of just songwriting here. It's actually a shame that Snakadaktal only lasted as long as they did. I think they broke up in 2014.
Yep. I mean, some of them are still doing other things.
Yeah. I mean, they actually do have an album as well, Trix. If you're in need for some more Snakadaktal, they have.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna listen to their other album soonish.
They
Probably tomorrow
technically
after my trip.
Technically have two. Sleep in the Water is
Ooh.
their official album, and they have a they have like this kind of demo album thing that they released after they broke up, and they're just saying, okay, here's what we had left, and put it out. And most of that is actually instrumental.
And there's also the Sun 2 EP.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that had anything that wasn't on Sleep in the Water or not. Let me just quickly check that, because I cannot remember. Could Dissogs please show me? That's all I want. Dissogs, come. Whilst I'm fighting this, you two talk.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
I just really dug this album. It's just my vibe, if that makes sense, and I vibe with it.
It's one of those, like, I really appreciate when people of this age can make good music. This, obviously, all the local show stuff that I put on the podcast. It was a good time for me growing up listening to good teen music and things. But seeing how this band has evolved into like Kegu, Sean, what's his name? Sean Heathcliff has kind of gone on to his own. There's two people with Joey and Phoebe of the group who want to do their own thing. I think that's really nice and impressive. They've separated, but at least they're still pursuing music.
I gotta stop you for 5 seconds here. So Snakadaktal's Treasures compilation seems to only have been released on CD. Does anyone want a copy?
Sure.
How much is it?
Just costs $200 Australian.
What the fuck?
On Discogs, yeah, it's a rarity.
I mean, I paid $50 for a Witch cassette.
I mean, I paid $80 because I found a Violent Soho debut. I wouldn't pay $200 for Snakadaktal though.
I don't know if I'd pay $200 for Snakadaktal either.
If I felt the need to, I would. I don't feel it right now.
I mean, I don't know if it actually sells for that, but it seems to be a rarity, and that's like the lowest selling price at the moment.
Yeah. I get you.
This seems like a group that blew up and they didn't really mean to.
Yeah.
And so they tried to chase the dream a bit, and then they just were like, "This isn't the way we want to do."
Yeah, I mean, they were a high school band.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them don't last. I mean, the Chats have had a member who's gone. They're one of the more popular high school bands in Australia at the moment. I mean, they were they're not in high school now, obviously, but they formed it there, and there's many bands that have members who meet through high school and stuff like that. And it's a rarity that they make it big. And I mean, Snakadaktal's kind of popularity was that 2011, 2012. They Flow Underneath had some popularity here, but that's when they're kind of like starting to fade a bit. And I think when they realized that the hype was kind of dying down a bit, they were just like, all right, let's just do our own stuff now.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, you have two options when the hype starts to die. You either continue on and try to bring it back up, or you just go back and do whatever the hell you want, because there's no more pressure on you anymore.
Fair.
And they went with not really anything to do. Let's just do what we want, and can't blame them. They're high school kids when they formed this.
Yeah.
I just imagine
they were pretty much in uni when they ended it.
I would love to know what would have happened if this band had caught on in that kind of 2011, 2012 era.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking back to what was popular around then. We got Pumped Up Kicks, we got the Kooks, we got somebody that I used to know, kind of scene. I feel like this, even the XX was growing up a bit, and I feel like if this had been pushed to a significant degree, it would have hit right in that stride.
I mean, I probably also should have covered on Dance Bear while we're here, because that was their other song that kind of had some popularity, because they've only had 2 songs to make a Hottest 100, and that was Air and Dance Bear. I mean, it's not to say that's the only songs that can be popular. I think The Sun actually does have some popularity with listeners and stuff like that, but it's a very impressive start
For a band that was just birthed from what's two animals we could put together? Snakes and pterodactyl.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's impressive as fuck, the songwriting on here. I just cannot stress that enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't in my mind like write a song like Chimera or Chimera or Chimera.
No.
It's called Pronounced
That-
America.
It's just complex as fuck to me. I mean, Air has a lot of moments on here as well, which just don't seem like kind of normal bass 4/4 type writing that people would do. And you see a lot of artists as well when they start up try to just do simple music, and fairly so. It's easier, and they.
Yeah.
I mean, you say it's a band that didn't mean to get big, but I mean they kind of shot from the stars
Sure.
from the start. So
Or is it just they were just trying to do stuff they thought was cool? Like they didn't necessarily know, like maybe people don't do this or something.
I mean, their music videos definitely have just showed how much of high schoolers they were. I think
Sure.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of pretentiousness to them. Let's not lie. Let's not lie. They're pretentious music videos, but
I'm curious how they would be live too, because I feel like I know there was in some stuff they were talking about how this was harder to play live. You know, because it's so layered and so many things going on, and they're high schoolers. Like they can play well, but
Fortunately, I was in high school whilst they were existing, so I would not have been able to see them live.
I was also in high school when they were existing. I don't think I would have seen them.
I was in middle school.
Uh,
Yeah, Ritz is closer to my age. I always forget.
He's a year older than me.
we don't have middle school in Australia.
Yeah.
It's all high, baby.
Yeah, and it's primary and high. Sometimes
Only
you go
gets
to a
high.
you go to a private school and then you end up becoming a politician. My partner's looking at me because she went to a private school and isn't a politician yet. Yes,
Yet.
I told you, Ash.
But in my
Become a
experience,
politician.
a lot of the kids who went to private school, especially like a Catholic school around my area, whenever they came out of it, when they went to public high school, they fucking went hard. They were the partiers, they were the fucking ragers, they were the people who got fucked up.
Yep. Getting fucked up on daddy's money.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, a lot
Um,
of Unearthed High were actually like private school kids as well.
Sure.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Snakadaktal were as well.
I
but-
believe they were. I believe they went to some kind of high school. I don't know if I. Maybe not.
Most of them, especially in this case, if they had the money for all that, probably had parents who could help finance that.
That's true.
That's just the
Yeah.
reality. That's just the reality. Not trying to do a judge on that. We can do that judging later when I release my tell-all book about how all private school kids are. I can't say the next word because my girlfriend is staring at me.
But I mean, they were a band that was positioned to blow up even further if they had gone with it. Like, they apparently had a web series about their album when it was coming out. They were apparently playing a bunch of clubs they were underage to get into, so they had to sneak in.
That's always fun.
So I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
they were set up.
it's a really interesting. It's a really interesting period we had in the early 10s when it came to like the musicians and stuff that were popular, and we just were allowing like high schoolers again. I mean, in the next year in 2012, we actually saw another Unearthed High artist make the top 100. It was Asta make it with, I think the song was "My Heart Is on Fire." She had another hit down the line as well, but she's kind of fallen into the same way. I mean, 2016, Greta Ray, whilst in high school, made 27 or something. So we actually had quite a period in the 10s where we saw all these high school artists
I mean,
just actually make it big in the underground scene, and it hasn't fully faded. I don't think they're doing as well as they used to.
Sure. I mean, you're forgetting the one big mainstream too from that same era.
Yeah, I mean, we have the Hockey Dads, we have the Japanese Wallpaper.
Yeah.
But also,
Kid Leroy is the big one because Kid Leroy actually tried to go for Unearthed High.
also Lord.
And
Yeah.
Lord, but Lord's New Zealand, so that's why I wasn't counting her.
Oh, okay.
She's not in the Unearthed.
It's all the same to us. New Zealand doesn't even exist.
Yeah, Lord can't do Unearthed High because it's only Australians.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you go and look at all the Unearthed High artists that have been there, and some of them are now like massive. I mean, Genesis Arusa, I'm pretty sure, was actually in Unearthed High.
Oh, cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a very interesting. It's just a contest that happens like once every year as well, and then yeah, I need to actually look at all the goddamn nominees since it started. because there's been some absolutely big ones, and then
Oh,
some of
yeah,
the winners
absolutely.
just haven't
I was
haven't
there.
gone out to do much.
I know all the nominees.
Yeah.
Cardinal Heart,
Yeah,
Skeletubbies, all
yeah,
are
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I can't even finish the sentence.
I mean, here we go. Here's an actual tone deaf article about it as well, where it talks about some of the winners and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about his transition.
Where
Yeah.
are they now?
Who knows? I did talk about Snakadaktal one here.
Favorites for me: Chimera, Carnival. Least favorite, probably Boy.
I'm gonna agree, but put Air in the favorites.
I know these favorites. I just fucking love this album
Good EP.
or EP.
That clear vinyl does look nice.
I'm gonna see if I can
Maybe.
find quickly the 2011 Unearthed Hive again. So here we go. We actually can see it, and they didn't actually have much competition looking at it. None of the other artists. I think Cactus Channel might have had some popularity, but only not in actual any mainstream or radio wise. I think just in terms of underground listens.
See, I don't hate all dream pop.
Yeah, fair. Alright, well, who wants to start off with the rankings, huh?
Why don't I start?
Sure.
Go ahead.
All Costanza,
Yep.
specifically Patch of Grass, and then Who We Are Having Fun.
Yeah.
Then I might throw a bit of a weird wrench and go Misericorde,
Mm-hmm.
Blame Game, or just Beach Bunny in general. Then Snakadaktal, and then Courtney Barnett. I really like the Courtney Barnett.
Fair enough.
Ritz.
Bottom would be the Costanza. What would I follow onto after that? Then I'm gonna put Courtney Barnett after that, and then Beach Bunny. It's a weird mix on that one, but they could stick around wherever they want.
Sure.
And then number 2, I'm probably going to put as Snakadaktal, and then number 1, I'm gonna put as Misericorde. No regrets.
I feel like this isn't a week that could change a lot because I think it's overall been pretty good, like you said.
Yeah.
The only clear bottom from is Costanza, unfortunately. Catch of Grass is the weakest of the week. Then Cool, We Were Having Fun. I will put the singles above those nominally, not officially, because the singles don't really count. But I do think it fleshes out his appeal much better. After that, I will probably go with Courtney Barnett. Like the album, but again, I'm just not as into her as you two are. After that, I'm gonna put Snakadaktal. I like that EP a bit, but I do think Tiny Little Houses just has so many more bangers on it, and so that's my number 2. And number 1, just for the amount of quality and just the tightness of it, and just the overall just ratio it is. Blame Game is number 1.
Interesting week. So yes, Genesis Arusu was Unearthed Hive in 2015.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Which leads us to next week, which will be our wrap-up week. But also, we have voted, and Ritz is deciding not to do an album next week because he's going to do his wrap-up.
Not to run.
Our first episode with an abstention, which I am interested in. It'll be cool.
Yes.
But
I
Trix and I have more to talk about.
We do.
I think we both plan to have like a finale for the year. So
yeah.
We've got it.
You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. So,
Okay.
How am I going to talk about it? I guess the album I want to do is an album I've wanted to do all year, but it's always been like chronic second, right? It's always been kind of like this or this. And so I feel like it's finally time to talk about the other album I might have like high in my album of the year, song of the year discussions. Not super high, but like it might be there. We're going to do Tune Yard's Sketchy. However, I'm also going to talk about my friend from Bulgaria who happened to become kind of like a pop star a little bit that I mentioned in the chat before. He also has put out his first EP this year. And so I'm gonna put the title in the chat because it's in Cyrillic. But we're gonna do the artist Yasin YASEN, and his EP is called Short. That's right, right. And there's
All
also a single for 2020 called Full Moon that we'll cover as well, just to have total, just do everything. There are some remixes; those are optional, but Tune Yards and Yasin.
All
Fair
right.
enough.
I have 2 albums I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be pulling a Ritz reel here. And one of them is an album I've been wanting to cover for a while. It's also like been my chronic number 2, I guess. But first, I want to talk about how I'm going to do a very modern meme jazz album. And I've been following the bass player for this band before the band was even formed. He was a great YouTuber that did a lot of stuff on like music theory and like super complex stuff that was just interesting to listen to. And I'm going to be doing Gazers Perihelion. And
Perihelion.
yes, which has a song based on the word thick spelled with 2 C's. So, yeah. And I'm also going to keep the train going with some more queer AFAB indie rock with Sir Chloe's Party Favors.
How do you spell Sir Chloe?
Sir Chloe. Chloe. And then
S-I-R.
Sir is spelled like SIR.
Favors with a U or no U?
No you.
Oh, American artist.
Yep.
Al,
Alright.
that is going to, I guess, be the official one. If you want anything to listen to from my part, I'm not going to cover it next week. But Trix, feel free to listen to Pizza Death.
Okay.
That was that pizza themed punk one I was on about a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to that.
Okay, but we're not going to cover it on the episode, really, so we can
No,
cover it on a
I'm
future episode.
gonna listen to it, and then Ritz and I are gonna talk about it.
We're gonna cover
I'm not. I haven't listened to it in full.
Maybe we'll cover it on a future episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not covering it next week because there's already too
Okay.
much.
But these, I wanted to get these in just for you, Ritz. I wanted to make sure you heard these before you picked your final picks.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I always accept as much as I can before I immediately disappoint everybody by making my number 1 Crazy Frog.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
there's a new Crazy Frog coming out on the 10th.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not gonna be able to make it. It's gonna be 2022. Sorry.
Maybe we'll have to Minisode it.
Well, I mean, for his selections, it will be fine. Anyway, just to recap: Sungazer, Perihelion, Sir Chloe, Party Favors, Tune Yards, Sketchy, Yasin, Short. That's right, EP. Okay.
I only barely listened there, but we're doing Sunbather. Fuck yeah.
Sungazer.
I know.
Sungazer.
I just like to trick around. Speaking of tricks.
Yeah, my Discord crashed. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't realize you left. Oh, God.
Tricks.
I'm gone.
My Discord just fully crashed.
Anyway.
I've been Ritalin. You can catch me on my website, Ritalin for Kids at github.io. I also have a YouTube channel that's in the description below. It's really only just clips of CSGO.
I've been Trix. You can catch me on Twitter at procrastinaut_. That's like procrastinating astronaut, then an underscore. As of a Twitter bot and all that fun shit. And you can catch Dominic and I at the Glass Beach show tomorrow. Probably not.
Yeah, we're going to Glass Beach and
yeah.
Homeless Wear tomorrow. It's gonna be wild.
Yes.
I don't even feel like that's still happening. It doesn't feel real.
It doesn't.
If you
And
don't
I have
send
to.
me a video, I will cancel the podcast.
We will send you a video. We'll send you a couple.
Yeah. Anyway, I've been Dominic. You can catch me online on Twitter at DACICHOCKI. I've also been guesting on the Games My Mom Found podcast, our episode about Super Metroid. It'll be going up. It'll be up by now, I'm sure. I've written for Tilting Windmill Studios in the past, but I am writing a freelance article right now that has been very interesting for me, and I'm really glad to get it out there soon. Hopefully, by the time this show comes back next year, I can hopefully plug it.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a question before we end this, and this is relevant actually to the Glass Beach show. So you know how like they say that if you want to convert someone from being gay to straight and stuff, you need to take them to this Bible camp, stuff like that, and feed them the Lord and everything like that. If you wanted to convert someone from being straight to gay, would you just take them to that Glass Beach show?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, cool. I now know what I'm going to be doing in the future.
Not going to Glass Beach.
No, I'm already there, man.
Fair enough. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been Dissonant Waves for us.
Hell yeah.
136 minutes, or an hour 36. What is this show?
Hell yes.
Why
We're
just-
kicking ass and taking names.
One more episode of the year. Oh, we're also going to be wrapping up next episode. It'll be our wrap up
Yes.
episode if we hadn't made that clear. Yeah, have a good night, everybody.
Indeed.
Goodbye.
Last of the
Good
year
evening,
next week.
Britain.